My top five most overhated movies of the year. I just talked about my movies that I hated and thought were like the worst movies of the year. And here are some movies that I actually want to defend for being good movies. Yesterday is honestly one that is overhated. A lot of people hate this movie. I did talk about this already in another video, but I'm putting this one here because this is hated by a larger group of people, actually. And I don't get why people nitpick it because it doesn't really make sense. Like, this guy remembers all the Beatles songs and kind of records them all. It's movie logic, okay? Yes, that is not... Yes, I mean, if you find that too unbelievable, I understand that. But it's not an actual flaw with the movie because, honestly, it's fine. I mean, the movie makes enough sense. I mean, you could argue Back to the Future makes no sense, but do we want to call that a good movie? No, a bad movie? No, we don't, because it's a good movie. This is a fine movie, and also people hate this because it's a little bit pandering with the John Lennon sequence, which I could see how you could feel that way, but that's a good sequence, and there are plenty of references to John Lennon's actual career, and it's a cameo that I think in a way was done out of love, not out of hatred. I mean, you can tell the people who made this movie were actually Beatles fans. I mean, they got Ed Sheeran in the movie, someone who has famously said that he is inspired by this Beatles work and went on to create music because of them, and I like Ed Sheeran, and I think this movie is actually made by Beatles fans. So, I'm not going to act like this movie is a terrible movie from little things that are really just nitpicks. Like, people need to calm down. Another one this one's still liked, but I want to put this one here. Toy Story 4. Yeah, Toy Story 4 is pretty hated by some people. Look, if you don't like the movie, I should preface this now. If you don't like the movies on this list, this movie is not an attack against you for not liking something. It's fine not to not like something, but when a movie's like, oh my gosh, I hate this movie, like, some people just need to calm down and actually realize that just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's really as bad as you're making it out to be. Like, this movie is fine. This movie does not ruin the Toy Story mythos and things. In a way, it kind of does with Forky, but in a way that's kind of excusable. I don't like Forky. I still found it excusable. Yes, Ducky and Bunny are kind of useless, like some people pointed out. But they still have good gags, and they still kind of contribute to the story a little bit. Yes, they probably should have just been taken out of the movie. But if you're going to argue with that, there are a lot of characters in every single Toy Story movie that you could basically do that with. Not even joking. I mean, what did Wheezy kind of contribute to the story besides actually kind of starting the story? I mean, there's a way to do that story without Wheezy. There's a way to do Toy Story 3 without Barbie and Ken. But are you going to argue that now? No. So, get over it. Also, this movie is very well shot. And I know it's crazy to say that. It's not actually shot with like a camera. But in a way, they try out different cinematography. And they have cool like lighting effects and interesting shots and things like that. And this is a pretty good movie. Like, I really love this movie. And I respect this movie for what it did. So yeah, I really love this one. And honestly, you should check out this movie. If you were scared off. Yes, this movie has some flaws. And in a way... I don't know. I think this also is an overly loved movie because the people who love this movie are like, it made me cry like 5 times. I'm like, no, this movie is not sad. I mean, it has that ending which has good pacing and music, but it's not really a sad sequence. It's just kind of like, well, oh well. And the music isn't that great. It's music from the other Toy Story movies. And it's kind of a cringy ending where like Rex goes, "Is Woody a lost toy?" Yes. Or no, Buzz goes, "No. He's found." With something stupid, and then like and then he goes to infinity and beyond. And then the movie ends. It's like, why? What? I think this would have been better if it was just like a TV show episode kind of spin-off and it set up a whole TV show where Woody and the Bo Peep kind of go around helping lost toys, which actually would be a good idea for a TV series. But I don't know. As a movie, this doesn't work all that well, I guess, in hindsight. But I still like this movie, and I think this was challenging in a way. They were smart ideas. I like some of the themes of existentialism and how, like, what is your purpose? Like, what is the point after you've fulfilled your purpose and things like that. I like that idea being explored, especially with characters like Woody in these characters. But that's something that kind of should have been explored in the third movie, not necessarily in a fourth movie. But maybe that's just me. I still think this is a good movie, though. So yeah, I like this one. What are we even at? Let's see, I put yesterday, Toy Story 4. I think that's just 2. Whatever. The next movie is, honestly, I'm just going to put it right now. I'm going to put it here. Rise of Skywalker. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, right? Yeah, that's a true saying. Honestly, a lot of Star Wars fans overly hate every Star Wars movie. Not except for the original trilogy. And then there's a group of people that actually hate those movies really bad, which is like, I mean, there are parts of people that hate Return of the Jedi a little too much. I don't hate really any Star Wars movies besides Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I like parts of The Last Jedi. I even like parts of The Force Awakens. And, yeah, I mean, this movie was fun. It had many fan service moments in a way, but I didn't think a lot of these were too fan service. Besides, like, Palpatine reciting actual lines from the Revenge of the Sith and him being in the movie at all, in a way, because it's kind of dumb. But, I mean, in a way, it kind of fixed some of my problems with the trilogy, so I didn't mind that much. There are a lot of things that were fixed within this movie that bother me about the whole trilogy. I like this movie. I don't think it's objectively a great movie. I still think it's okay, though. People need to calm down with the overly hating this movie, overly nitpicking things. Yes, this movie has its problems, but it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. Calm down. And then another movie that I thought was overly hated by people, Ad Astra, honestly. Ad Astra was, yeah, I mean, this movie is, there's the people who really love it, which is mostly critics because of the pacing. If you find this movie boring, fine, but this is a really well-made, great movie. I mean, I understand finding it boring because it does have a very, very, very slow pace. It's a very slow burn, but it's an interesting, thoughtful movie. The whole movie kept me thinking, engaged. I was looking at the images, some of the cinematography, and a lot of the effects and editing, pacing, acting, performances, just some of the ideas and themes that the movie was presenting. It was just like, wow. I was pretty impressed by what I was watching. I think this was one of my favorite movies of the decade, honestly. Don't ask me to make a movie about my favorite movies of the decade, because I will if I want to. Another one people overhated was Abominable. I mean, yeah, Abominable was good. This is a pretty overrated movie because everyone thought it was going to be super generic. I don't even think the people who were saying that honestly actually saw the movie, because it actually was pretty good. And again, if a movie looks generic and has a generic story, it's kind of about the execution of how that's put together. Because again, How to Train Your Dragon, pretty generic story, right? But then they execute it so well that you don't even notice. So, yeah, I don't understand the overly hate for this movie. I defend this one. Some of the critics' reviews are pretty terrible, though. Like, where they're like, no, this movie's fine. You know, it's a kid's movie. Like, that's a terrible review. If you're calling this good because it's a kid's movie, you are a terrible critic. Because, no. Movies are not good because they're kids' movies. Because you're going to have to give crap like the Emoji Movie a pass if you do that. But I like this one, and I would recommend this, and I actually have a poster of this that I got at one of my local theaters of the movie. So, yeah, I did like this one. Yeah, those are my most movies that I thought were the most overhated movies of the year, honestly. Especially Rise of Skywalker. Like, calm down, people. The movie did not flop. It didn't make that much money compared to the previous movies, but it's gonna make $1 billion. It did not flop. Shut the hell up. It's a good movie. For the most part. It's flawed in some areas, but, like, seriously. Calm the freak down.